This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
Rooker, it's a fly ball to deep center. Robert going back at the track. He will turn and watch it fly.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Adolis Garcia sends one the other way. That sends Carroll back. He's at the wall. Legend grows. Ronald Acuna, another milestone in a truly historic season. Julio with an absolute nuke out to left field.
It's Glaber Day. And like a good Glaber, Torres is there.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe. From humidors to Stuff Plus to walk-off dingers, we have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is day 2 of the Bay Bridge series. And then we have a day off. And then it's the season opener against Stephen Vogt and the Guardians. How you feeling?
We're almost there. Felt like spring training blew by this year. Usually it seems kind of long, but they sure went by pretty quick. Maybe it's because of a lot of excitement around the team this year where we might not have had as much last year. But, yeah.
Come on. It's night and day what we got going. Are you kidding me? We got a wonderful show for you today as we'll get you ready. Now, we are not in San Francisco and was asked yesterday, hey, you guys going to be in San Francisco? Now, all those years, yes, we used to go to San Francisco. And technically, I was the first ever, maybe I'll save that later. But yeah, I was a part of when Pac-Bell Park opened up. I've always liked going to the ballpark, but the problem is they don't have space for us to do this. We're obviously a unique entity. We're our show when we're at the Coliseum is on the field, but we're just not room there. You know, we have one little tiny, just the way, and it's the way all the new ballparks are built. They didn't build it for the press box. They crammed the press box in and they get the broadcast. So there's not room for us. That's why we don't go. We haven't been to San Francisco in a long time. And I remember I used to sit in the back and put my stuff on. And I was just in the way of Michael Baird and of course, for Ken and Vince. Johnny will be in today. So we just don't go to SF anymore. Yeah. I know you I know you miss the commute. After all the years working in San Francisco, you really miss the commute.
God bless Caltrain now that we can take it there. Because I wasn't able to do that.
Caltrain sucks.
Well, if you catch the bullet, it's
the baby bullet.
It's like an hour and 5 minutes.
Yeah, the baby bullet. But yeah, it's terrible. So we're at home and got a great show for you today. Bill Moriarty's going to stop by because Bill's going to get us going on. All right. We got a good idea who's going to be on the club. I don't know when it officially gets announced. We have a good idea. We can't spill any beans, but we've got a good idea so we can kind of navigate, okay, what are we looking as we're talking about our top prospects and getting the season started? What kind of team does the leader of men, Fran Reardon, going to have down with the Aviators?
I mean, we know Soderstrom's down there right now. Soderstrom. We'll see. I mean, guy we talked about yesterday a good bit, Hoy Park, who's hitting 500 in who was hitting 500 in Mesa or in Arizona in spring training, could be down there, could be on the big club. We don't know yet. I mean, we do know.
I would figure he's going to be down there, and I could figure if he hits, there's a chance he is back. He'll make his debut for the A's in 2024. We'll see. George Kontos, World Series champion with the San Francisco Giants, does Giants pre- and post-game live on NBC Sports California. Will join us at 4:00 to talk a little San Francisco Giants baseball. There's a big difference. And, I mean, I don't want to start the show ripping the Giants, but you know I like to rip the Giants. It was so dysfunctional. Oh, my God. Now that I, obviously I know people that are there now. I'm talking with people about what it was like. And we had Ross Stripling on yesterday, who we will unveil on Thursday. We like to do this every year. We like to throw out categories to everybody, and we do our predictions on who's going to lead in WAR, who's going to lead in home runs, stolen bases, wins for the team, strikeout, saves. I think I'm going to go Mr. Deathball, Gyro Ball himself. Because you guys are all, I mean, when you throw it out to the broadcasters, they like to go chalk. They're picking, they're picking UConn to win the, Geloff's going to be everything. I'm going to have to, oh, by the way, ran into Mr. and Mrs. Geloff yesterday. Got to meet him yesterday. They both watched the show. Hello to the Geloffs.
Hello, as I wave.
Your son is amazing. He is the future. He's the next Ryan Sandberg, for God's sakes.
As I don't pick him for any category because it's chalk.
Can't go Geloff. That's chalk, right? It's easy to say Geloff's going to lead in WAR. Geloff's going to lead in home runs. Geloff's going to lead in everything.
Well, I mean, the worst one of all was last year when who I picked to lead the team in WAR. I mean, it was bolder than your Soderstrom pick.
Yeah, my Soderstrom picks last year were pretty bold.
I don't know. I think mine was a little bolder. I went with Domingo Acevedo.
Oh, yes.
Because he was like third on the team the year before. So I thought, he's going to have another big year. And then
how'd that work out?
As we found out with relievers anymore in baseball, it's usually just one solid year. Then you're back. Then you're gone, or it takes a couple years to get back.
Like if you go stolen bases and you take Ruiz, that's so chalk.
I didn't take Ruiz this year.
I'm not taking Ruiz. I'm taking Nicky Steal It.
Nicky Swipe It?
I like that. Nicky Swipe It. Nicky Pickett, Nicky Pie Shop. I'm going to go Nick Allen and Steele. We're going to unveil the list on Thursday. But I think I'm going to go Stripling. I like your pick, but I think I'm going to go Stripling.
Well, I can tell you this. Domingo Acevedo, no reliever, made my list for WAR leader.
I might surprise you who I say is the saves leader.
Oh, so you're not going to go chalk and go Mace?
Oh,
Mason
they're
Miller?
all going chalk, Mason Miller. Which chalk means that's probably what's going to happen. But I will switch it up.
You're telling me that it's not going to be? Are you saying our new saves guy will be our new left-handed pitcher we acquired just today? TJ McFarland back again as we
welcome home. It's a homecoming. Don't forget he was here in 20. He pitched in like 20-something games in 2020. The season was only 60 games.
Yeah, so today we got him back from the Dodgers for cash considerations, and he's on the 40-man roster.
Just throwing cash around these days.
Yeah, there was Austin Adams who we got the other day from the Mets. That was a cash deal too. So don't have to give any prospects, and you get two relievers with major league time under their belt, coming on the 40-man and potentially being in the bullpen to start the year.
The A's, Austin Adams from the Mets, and now McFarland will provide the A's with a veteran southpaw arm to hopefully stabilize the pitching staff in flux, while also perhaps serving as a guiding force for many of the young arms on the team, according to MLB trade rumors. McFarland having a very good year. I know it's 7 appearances, but having a very good year in Dodger camp.
Oh, well. He's not having a good week or so.
Oh, boy, I did. Folks, I did some investigating last night. Basically, I started reading. And no matter what the outcome is with Shohei Ohtani, no matter what, it's not good. No matter what. There is not a scenario where in the end Shohei Ohtani looks good out of this. There's not one. There's not one. I will give you the 3 and not one. And boy, is there a difference when you are a Dodger versus an Angel. Because the LA Times treats Dodgers way different than Angels. Angels, kid gloves, who cares? Orange County, LA Times Dodgers, whole different ballgame. And there was a article written in the LA Times. So I have 2 articles from the LA Times that I want to go over. One is littered with lawyers and guys who are also sports gaming lawyers. So no more, I don't care what the sports media says, because the sports media is uneducated. They're ignorant on these topics. They like to weigh out with big opinions. Let's get people who are in this space. What do they have to say about it? And then when you're looking at Shohei Ohtani's character, and for the first time probably ever, you got people coming down his road and his character as a man, as a person. So we will delve into Shohei. I don't know when you want to get. I want to get back to the Giants. very, very obvious that I'm not sure their problems are going away. Maybe. And that's where you bring in Bob Melvin. And we talked to Brian Price, the pitching coach, yesterday. I always told you I liked Gabe Kapler. I've known Gabe Kapler for many years. Gabe Kapler used to come on my old talk show, and then he'd be on. So our old station did a deal with Fox Sports, and at that time, he was one of their analysts. So we were one of their bigger markets. They wanted to help us out. So my old boss hooked it up to where Kapler was coming on with me all the time, right? And I told you, we talk fitness, we would talk about baseball, all the different things about baseball. Kapler is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to baseball, analytics, fitness. I mean, there's a reason why he's now an assistant general manager for the Marlins. The guy knows a lot of stuff, but he is kind of a weird dude. That was backed up yesterday by Ross Strickland in a conversation I had. The problem was it's Farhan. Farhan goes out, tells the agents, tell the players, this is what we want. Then they get him in here, and then they just change once they get there. And so you probably could have a third of the roster say the same things we have heard from guys that have come over. I'm sure if we brought our buddy Sean Manaea back, they'd all be like, yeah, I'm told I'm going to start. I'm told this is my role. Well, veteran guys want their roles. What's my role? And then you get them in and you change their roles. They're not happy campers. So you literally had an unhappy roster with the way they were all being used, because they were being used. This was not what they agreed to come do in San Francisco. And then you got 8 million coaches who are trying to sell you on this role. Remember how they bragged, we got more coaches. Yeah, it just made it worse. It was a toxic situation, and they're hoping bringing Bob Melvin, we'll talk to George Kontos about this, bringing Bob Melvin in, who brings hopefully the stability. I mean, but I get the sense everybody's like, yeah, we had no problem with Kapler. Kapler's basically doing what the front office wants. So, this is the big question is, why did you give Farhan an extension to link up with Melvin? That is really the question.
Was it through 25? Is that through next year or 26?
Well, Melvin's got to be long. Wasn't Melvin's like a 4-year deal?
Oh, I'm not sure what their deals were.
But I mean, I don't know.
3-year contract through 2026.
Through 2027. So after this year, it's 3 years. So it's 4 years.
The 3.
Oh, no. 2026.
Yeah,
So it's 3.
Yeah, 3 years, yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, the big deal will be, okay, you stayed out on the free agent market and you waited and you waited and you waited. You didn't overpay. And he scored getting Blake Snell. I guess you could say score getting Chapman. We'll bring in the J.D. Davis thing today because we have all forgotten about the coup with the MLB union. Like Shohei Ohtani, is any kind of news that's been going on about baseball. So, now that we have the tournament, and God, we were watching Iowa last night in the ladies tournament, the women's tournament.
They ended up sneaking by West Virginia, Caitlin Clark.
Hey, it's not easy to win in the tournament. You're not going to blow everybody out. So the tournament, Shohei Ohtani story is kind of like everything else has been like, what's really going on? I mean, you got draft coming up. You're seeing some draft news. I saw your guy Tomlin on SportsCenter last night. Little Steeler quarterback.
Oh, they signed a receiver today. No, there's a lot of injury news in baseball now too. There's more guys that got put up. Paul Sewald, the closer for the Diamondbacks, on the injured list to start the year.
They got a lot of guys injured. Rodriguez got a lat problem who they signed as a free agent, the lefty coming over from Detroit.
There was another injury I thought I saw today too that it's kind of getting underneath. It's not getting Brian Wu from the Mariners. Their 5th starters on the injured list with he has inflammation in his right. Oh boy, inflammation in his right elbow.
Okay, you want to get to the Ohtani thing now or later?
We can do it now. Yeah.
Okay, so no. You know what? We'll get to the Ohtani later. I want to get to our lineup today. We have talked about it. And by the way, that whole MLB union thing, part of the problem. One of the big talking points is J.D. Davis. J.D. Davis, how things went down with San Francisco really wasn't cool. It was all on the up and up when you look at the CBA, the letter of the law. But how you deal with people, and it made people realize, wow, so you're saying you win an arbitration case, and because you won the arbitration case because the arbiter took you over the team, that deal is not guaranteed? I didn't know that. Now, I'm not reading every letter of the CBA, nor do I care that much because this stuff doesn't come up often. But a lot of people in the game, just not players union people, think San Francisco did J.D. Davis dirty. I mean, you won. You go to arbitration. This is our system. They present a number. You present a number. They tell you why he should get this number. He says this is why he should get that number. The arbiter looks at it and goes, I choose the player. And you would think that's the player's salary. Guaranteed. Nope. They were able to get rid of him, and he had to take a pay cut. He went to arbitration, won, and ended up having to loses his job and loses his paycheck. Didn't know that could happen.
I'm not versed on contract law or how arbitration works.
It's a collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah, when I saw all this come out, I was blown away. And then he's gone. He loses out on the money. The Giants cut him, or put him on waivers. Then they release him, and then we pick him up a few days later. Yeah. And for $2.5 million is what it was for 1 year.
Whatever we signed him to, and then there's the potential to earn more.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's not the 6 point. Whatever.
9, I think it was 6.9 he was supposed to get.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a big. So look at Bay Area teams. Also, Snell and Chapman are a big part. Like the whole way free agency has gone down. This is a part of the reason why there's certain players who they want to shake up. And if you remember back, I get into it later, but to me, it's fascinating. And it tells you a lot about where we're headed in the next couple of years, where the players are, because the players union is so strong. But it's J.D. Davis, who we're trying to get for opening day.
Oh, it's confirmed. He'll be on.
J.D. Davis will be on opening day. We're not going to make it about the Giants. We're not going to – I'll get a few zingers in on him, but we'll make it about him. But we got a player who, some of you may not care. Like, what do I care about the play? Well, this is our business, right? It's a big part of our business. The players, the money, the contracts. I mean, there's no sport like ours. And there's no union in the country like the baseball players union. And when we acquire a player who is a big talk about what's going on with that union, I think it's going to be great to have him on. And he was a huge get. I feel bad for him money-wise and his family. And I feel great for the A's for getting J.D. Davis, who, by the way, batting second today. I like put Geloff in bubble wrap, and we'll see you opening day. Don't get hurt. And J.D. Davis will be hitting second today. J.D. Davis has got to have a massive, massive chip on his shoulder. Like, you couldn't. Yesterday in the clubhouse, we saw Bob Melvin was in the A's clubhouse yesterday. J.D. Davis came walking by. I haven't met J.D. yet, but he walked by us and Melvin. We're talking to Melvin. Melvin yells out, "Take care of this guy. He's a great guy." So, yeah, we'll take care of J.D. Davis for Bob Melvin. You bet. And if he gives 20-plus home runs and plays solid D, Eric Martin said Eric Martin's, and I reported this down at Arizona, had told me, I guess it wouldn't be reporting, it would be our conversation, said, hey, looked at the metrics. He was pretty decent. Wait till I get my hands on him. So you give me good third base, 20-plus home runs. All of a sudden, the biggest question mark at spring training for a team that lost 112 games. Think about that again. They lost 112 games. No way is this team losing 112 games. And even they did the one thing about every team, and Martin Gallegos did it for MLB.com. Right now, there's an article out there, one thing to know about every team, and it's about, hey, these guys are going to be a lot better. You may not be paying attention, but J.D. Davis makes this team immediately better. Immediately better.
Yeah, and he had a career year last year. How many home runs? I think he had
18.
18 home runs. He hit like 240 something. I mean, it was a year where he played. How many games he ended up playing in? J.D. Davis last year played in 144 games, 18 home runs, 69 runs batted in, hit 248. The only year he hit more home runs is 2019 with the Mets when he hit 22 home runs and hit 307. So
if
the
you
second
look,
best year was last year.
If you look at what the A's got from third base last year, and I'm telling you 20 home runs, 70-plus RBIs, and look what they got from third base last year. Third base was a revolving door.
Yeah. Between Jace Peterson and Aletmus.
Jordan Diaz,
yeah.
I mean, now if you got a guy that you go, you're playing third, man. Here you go. You're playing third every day. Seth Brown in the lineup today. Lawrence Butler hasn't been announced yet, but I can pretty much tell Lawrence Butler is going to be on this team. Come on. He's hitting 346.
Pretty good.
He's got an OPS of 869. Lawrence Butler is going to be on. Lawrence Butler is the future of the Oakland Athletics, along with Zach Geloff. These guys are the future. And when I mean future, I mean they're going to be here for years. These are the guys. Toro's going to be playing second base today. Toro will be interesting because Toro, we know Hernandez is on the roster. So we can all go, okay, we got two guys that can play short. We're good. But does Toro do enough for you? He's having a great spring. Does he do enough for you to say he's got to be on this roster? Because he really is a third base, second base. Now you have Hernandez who can play third and second. I mean, third, short, and second. Like, is Toro enough? But he brings you bench, brings you a guy can hit off the bench. You know, you're not going to have six outfielders now with Andujar going down with the knee.
Yeah. So what if he's out with the knee? So you have the 5 outfielders now, and then you would have Hernandez and the 4 infielders. So you're right there at, 10 backup catchers or 2 catchers. So you need one more guy.
Probably going to be Carlos Perez.
Yeah, he's in the lineup today. And so you would think that Toro would be the other guy that they would keep. It's essentially down to him or Hoy Park, right? As we mentioned, Hoy Park literally can play everywhere.
Hoy Park, if you go to his baseball reference defensive page, Hoy Park has played third, short, second, right, center, and left in the big leagues. Not a lot, but Hoy Park, you can say, has played Major League Baseball at all these positions.
So he's never played.
Not like, well, in the minors. No, in the big leagues, he's played all these positions. He's like a fantasy. In fantasy, when you got that Thursday day off and no one's playing, and you're like, I got no one to play second. If you had Hoy Park, he could play any position for you in fantasy.
He's that super utility guy.
Yeah.
He can play anywhere. Yeah, and guess so he's never played first. We're going to have to get him a glove to play first. If he's in AAA, Fran, get it.
We got first covered.
Yeah.
We got a million guys who can play first.
Yeah, Noda, Brown.
Noda's going to be your guy.
Carlos Perez.
How about Noda leading off?
He left last night too, right?
Well, no, he's been leading off all spring.
Yeah.
But I'm like, how about Ryan Noda as your leadoff first baseman? And just go, you know what? I'm sticking with it. I'm going to stick it. You're going to have Noda batting first. You're going to have Geloff hitting second. What do you think?
I like it. I mean, you got a guy, Noda gets on base. So you want your
leadoff
leadoff guy.
Base. Doesn't matter if it's a righty, it's a lefty. He's gonna get on base.
You want your leadoff guy to get on base, and this whole traditional Mike Trout changing the game, being the traditional number 2 hitter, and that's the way Aaron Judge does it.
It was Trout and Donaldson.
Yeah.
Our buddy JD. Those were the 2 guys where they said, "Hey, man, put your best." I mean, it's the whole math game, right? The higher you hit in the order, the more times you're going to come up during the season.
Yeah, those 2 guys, and then we've seen JJ Bleday bat third a lot in spring. So I don't know if that's going to continue all year. Maybe against righties it continues all year, but I'm assuming Rooker will probably hit cleanup then, correct? During the season? Or do you have him bat third and have someone like Seth Brown hit cleanup?
I don't know if I'm in Rooker third. Rooker still strikes out a lot. I mean, he's going to hit some dingers, but he's going to have his stretches, but you want more of a consistent guy hitting third.
So, yeah.
I mean,
it comes down to essentially,
and you know who's having a camp that, and we haven't really brought it up much, is Seth Brown.
Yeah,
I mean,
because he's hurt for a bit.
Is this the time when Seth Brown? Because last year, maybe I go Seth Brown and Jax. Maybe I'm talking to myself. That's what I predicted last year. I mean, Seth Brown could hit 30 bombs. He has the ability to run in to at least 30. He does.
He ended up hitting 19 or 20. I can't remember what his career high was.
Oh, it's in the 20s.
I want to say it was like 21 or.
He has the
22.
ability. If he played and stayed healthy, he could hit 30.
His career high in home runs was 25 in 2022.
So he's twice hit the 20 mark.
Yeah, he went 20, 25, and then last year being hurt.
I mean, this is, for Seth Brown, talk about chip on your shoulder. This is it. This is it right here. At what is he, 30, 31?
Seth Brown is...
I'm going to say 31.
Yeah, I think he's 31. Let's confirm. He is 31. He'll be 32 in July.
This is it, bro. This is it. This is the time. This is the year for you to put up a big number. Put up a 33 burger up. Maybe I will go Seth Brown and dingers. Seth Brown has been hot. I just, we're talking about legitimate options. We're talking about some talent that we weren't talking about last year. We just weren't. This team, no question, is different. And in Martin Gallegos and his one thing, every beat writer had a one thing. I mean, 500 got brought up. Now, whoa. Remember, we're basing this off a team that won 50 games last year. You win 60, that's a 10-game improvement, right? 65, 70. My prediction is in the 70. My prediction is 70. I have a bet with a media member who you all know that I will love to throw it in his face if I win this bet. It's a dinner bet. And he gave me he doesn't realize, he gave me and you know him real well. When I say you know him real well, I'm not lying. You know him. I'm not outing him yet. He's got to put some wins on the board before I out him.
Once I get to like 69 wins and
no. Let's get once they if it's a good first month, I'm gonna be like, all right, me and this dude got a dinner bet. I'm not bringing it up until the A's start proving my point. But you know this guy real well in the A's family. He doesn't work for the A's. He doesn't work with us. But you know him real well. Correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. So, and his whole thing was, I don't lose either way. Either way, we have dinner. I'm like, okay.
That's all he's looking for. He just wants the dinner.
Yeah.
He wants the experience to dine with you.
Yeah. It's like, oh, man, you bet with me, boy. It becomes a whole different ball game.
What happens when this happens? If this A's win 70 and this guy owes you the food bet, who pays off first, him or Johnny?
Yeah, Johnny's still on the hook. Hasn't paid me yet.
Right.
We still don't have a bet yet for this year.
Yeah, I still haven't thought of one.
I'm telling you this. Obviously, Geloff is the chalk choice for best player on the team. He is the best player on the team.
I don't think you're going out on a limb on that.
I compare him to a Hall of Famer, for God's sake. Zach Geloff is special, right? So with that said, he's off my board. I can't go chalk. For God's sakes, I had Soderstrom last year. I like to go. I gotta come. You know who I'm sticking with? I'm sticking with my guns.
For home runs?
And WAR.
Oh, so you...
Oh, wait a minute. Home runs, I don't know. I almost talked myself into Seth Brown. I'm telling you, Zach Geloff is obviously the choice, but I'm taking him off my board. I'm sticking with a guy who I really believe in. I'm sticking with a guy who I think has, like Zach Geloff, has all-world potential. And I think this is the year he puts it together and shows that he can be an everyday player. When I mean an everyday player, that means something. It means something to say that this is a game of failure. This is a game that is really, really hard. They're all really hard. To be a regular in professional sports, to start in the NBA every game, to be one of 5, to go out and have a legit career on the PGA Tour where golf is a super hard sport. I mean, golf is brutally hard. Every single course you play is different. The climate is different. The grass is different. The planes, the travel. It's crazy how hard golf is. I mean, to be a starter in the NFL, which is the most brutal game in the world, the NFL, the biggest, strongest human beings on the planet just killing each other, and you're a consistent starter there. And hockey is a grown-ass man's game. Never played it, thank God. I can see me not having teeth. Hockey Hockey's brutal.
I don't know if there were a lot of frozen ponds in Southern California when you
Wasn't a lot of frozen ponds in San Diego growing up, but hockey is brutal. You got to be, to be an everyday guy says something in any professional sport where you're everyday, counted on, professional. This is the year J.J. Bleday becomes that guy, to where it'll remind you of really the last guy that you could say was that steady, he's in every single day. This guy contributes in so many different ways. Who would you say is the last A's player to really be that guy?
That was this highly touted?
No, I'm saying you're an everyday guy that, you know what, every day you're putting that guy in the lineup and it's consistent and you're saying, I know what I'm getting out of that guy. I'm getting production.
Marcus Semien. Probably.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one guy.
Because Chapman, every day, but Chapman and even Olsen had stretches where you got to strikeout after strikeout. The other guy I'd think about, Jed Lowry.
Yeah.
All right. Semien and Lowry were like these dudes. They show up every day and they, as they say in the NBA, every single day is doing something in the box score. Right. That's what you talk about in the NBA, a guy that shows up every day and he put something in the box score. He's got steals, he's got blocks, he's got rebounds, he puts some points on the board, he plays defense. Somebody that you can count on to come in every day and be productive. And you just go every day, Mark Kotze, J.J. Bleday's in the lineup. Once again, we know Geloff is the star. We're going to let the other broadcasters pick chalk. You didn't go Geloff, did you?
No.
Geloff is our best player. There's no question. No, for WAR.
Oh.
But we're picking who's going to lead in WAR. I'm going J.J. Bleday.
Yeah, I was leaning towards Geloff, but I haven't put my final predictions out there.
Well, Geloff is chalk.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
He's the favorite. He's by far. He's secretariat on this team. Wow, how about a horsing?
I don't think I don't know if maybe I put Mason Miller down as the guy that leads in WAR.
In WAR, you're going to have a closer?
It wouldn't happen, but hey, stranger things have happened.
Well, the problem with that, and let's bring on Bill. The problem with that is you got to throw a lot, and I'm not sure how much he's going to throw, but it's your list, right? Bill, how are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
Well, we maybe we should throw Bill. We're going to send you a text, and we do this. We've started it, and we're going to do the. We have a list. It's like who's going to lead the team in WAR, who's going to lead and win, saves, strikeouts, home runs, steals, and all that. And you pick.
Okay.
And you can go crazy because last year I got a little nutty, just to let you know. And I said for home runs, what else did I pick Tyler for?
WAR.
I said, even though Soderstrom is going to start in AAA, watch, he's going to come up and tear it up. So I went off the board here, came out of left field, and I had Tyler Soderstrom to lead in WAR and home runs. Let's just say that didn't work out.
Yeah. Suffice it to say, if I'm correct, I think Johnny might have gone with Chad Smith as the save leader last year.
That
too.
is correct. So we want you to be we're going to send you a text today. You have today and tomorrow to throw it around. We unveil our list opening day on Thursday.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Is there anything writing on this or just honor?
Well, if I win, you owe $100. If I don't win, we'll send you a gift certificate. No, it's just
okay. The usual. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
We can't bet. We can't.
I know.
We can. Hey, Shohei Ohtani's ruining it for everybody. We can't bet, right? We thought we were getting closer to being able to bet, and here comes Ohtani screwing it up.
Yeah, if you weren't sure, just ask Shohei and his interpreter. That ought to clear it up for you.
Did you see the baseball card? It's the old Pete Rose baseball card, and they superimposed Shohei Ohtani's face on it. and below it says Pete Rotani.
Oh, that's terrible.
The internet's undefeated, my friend. No matter what, I'll just say this. We've both been around a long time. No matter what, he comes off looking horrible. There's not an outcome where it's like, oh, well, okay, let's move on. Because
I guarantee you that
if he is cleared in the very end, right? Because as we all know, banking and everything's there's receipts. This isn't a cash business, right? He wasn't dealing in cash like you should. His cash is no receipts. There's receipts for everything. So we'll find out everything. I'm gonna go into it later because there's a great piece in the LA Times. There's also a second piece that's come out in the LA Times that basically says no matter what, you need to grow up because you're almost 30, you're married, and that's the way. Like the best case scenario is he looks like a child because right now the way he's coming off is like, dude, you look like a child. And they're bringing up stories about how he didn't want to leave his baseball dorm and like just he's childlike. So no matter what, Ohtani will not come out looking. We'll not look at him we'll look at a unicorn, all this. It's great, but we will not look at him the same.
Yeah, if you're any sort of pro athlete, you just don't want your name and the word gambling in any headline together in any context. That is not going to serve you well. So, and I'm sure MLB isn't thrilled about it either. So we're not the only ones.
All right, let's get down on the farm. You know, one guy, if I like to go like let's get crazy here. Guy that could come up and really be a factor for the A's this year that's going to start in AAA. How about Joey Estes?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think it's safe to say Joey Estes is certainly going to be the most promising pitching prospect at AAA Vegas this season. If there's a need at the major league level, I think he's the first one to go. And, you know, I'm pretty sure, you know, one way or another, probably he will be in the rotation in the second half of the season. I mean, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, by the deadline, the A's are trying to deal veterans like Wood, Stripling, Blackburn, no matter, you know, whatever's happened, they're going to, you know, try and make some changes at the deadline to bring in some more prospects. And that, you know, that could very well open a door for Joey Estes, you know, as well as guys like who are injured right now to start the season, like Waldichuk and Louis Medina, you know, so you could have a much younger rotation in the second half. And I think Joey Estes clearly is the most promising pitching prospect at AAA Vegas. And remember, he's still just 22. He's very young, and he's going to be 22 throughout the entirety of the season. So he's a young guy who could come up and be very good for a good while too.
Yeah, you go to athleticsfarm.com. Bill Moriarty with us here on A's Cast Live. I'm looking, you got the top 10 prospects up, and you also have Meet Your 2024 Las Vegas Aviators. It's a great read, both of them. So go check it out as we speak. I got this thing up, Bill. Actually, Bill can't see it. So check out the website. It's fantastic. He does a great job covering our farm system. And you are back this year, right, for a podcast on A's Cast?
Yes, we'll be doing the farm on A's Cast again this season. You know, we'll be providing plenty of insights into what's going on in the minor league system with all the prospects. We'll have a fresh podcast every couple of weeks on A's Cast. So if you want to stay tuned with what's going on in the minors, you know, just check out the farm on A's Cast. It'll be up again every couple of weeks, a fresh one this season.
I keep telling you this. So my old college teammate at San Jose State is Denzel Clark's agent, the great Mark O'Brien, former Stanford, San Jose State coach. St. Francis was a really good player, but he's now an agent, and he's got Denzel Clark, and he keeps telling me Denzel Clark's the best athlete he's ever seen in baseball. And Billy Owens, our assistant, everybody loves Denzel Clark. Canadian team, WBC, everybody. I still am not seeing a lot of when am I getting Denzel Clark, this super athlete?
Well, I'll tell you, you know, I mean, he is the toolsiest guy in the system. And, you know, he put up better numbers last season at Midland than Lawrence Butler did. Unfortunately, Denzel got hurt and then had to have shoulder surgery. But prior to that, he had the best numbers of any player at AA Midland. So, you know, he had a good season. It was cut short when he had to go on the IL in July. But, you know, I made him my number 2 prospect on my top 10 prospects list on Athletics Farm. And the reason is he has the highest offensive upside of any player in the A's system. He's got power. He's got speed. He can play center field. I mean, there just aren't a lot of guys with that combination of tools right now anywhere. I mean, he reminds me of, you know, kind of an Andre Dawson type. You'll remember that name. I don't know. I don't know if anyone else will. I'm not saying he's going to be Andre Dawson, but, you know, it's rare to see those players these days that have that combination, that power, that ability to play in the field. Those are the tools he has. So again, he had shoulder surgery in July. And, so he hasn't played in a competitive game, in like 9 months, but I've been told that he should be ready to go come the first week of April. I think he's probably going to be starting out at Midland to start the season again, because he hasn't played for a while due to the injuries, but I'm sure he'll be up at, if everything goes well, he'll be up at AAA Vegas sometime during the season, which will put him just one step away from the majors. And, we by the end of the season, it's, entirely possible we could be seeing a Lawrence Butler and a Denzel Clark in the A's outfield, which would at least be pretty exciting prospect to look forward to anyway.
How about that? I'm comparing Zach Geloff to Ryan Sandberg, and you now have Denzel Clark with the Hawk Andre Dawson, two Hall of Famers, both teammates with the Cubs. I do believe Andre Dawson, I remember the great Andre Dawson a lot as a Montreal Expo, but, as a Cub, he's the only guy ever to win the MVP, right, on a last place team.
I think so. I mean, he had such an incredible season for the Cubs that year, but he had such an incredible career around. But again, what's interesting is you just don't see many players with that skill set anymore. The power and the speed, the ability to really play center field. It's just a rare combination of tools. And again, I think that's what makes Denzel Clark so special. So, as long as he can, realize his potential, again, he's got more potential than any hitter in the A's system. I think he could just be a tremendously dynamic player if all goes as planned.
All right, let's lump two guys together because they're former high school teammates. We've now gotten to see. I got to see Jacob Wilson play in big league games,
right,
at spring training, and he looked like one of the guys. Right, got some hits, played good defense. So it wasn't like, oh, this is kids right out of college. He needs a lot of seasoning. I mean, he looked like he could play. I mean, that says a lot. When you show up and you look like you should be there, Max Muncy has grown. I've noticed that, seeing him in the clubhouse, gotten a lot bigger. He's a lot stronger now. He's got to prove he's got a hit, but they're both first-round picks, and one's out of college, shouldn't be in the minors long. The other's out of high school. Well, now he's grown up. Where are you with Muncy and Wilson, the former high school teammates?
Well, I'll tell you, if you look at the shortstop situation now, you've got Nick Allen at the major league level. A step behind him, you've got Darryl Hernandez. A step behind him is Max Muncy, and a step behind him is Jacob Wilson. So, hopefully we're going to end up okay on the left side of the infield before too long here. I think Muncy is probably going to start the season at AA. I think Jacob Wilson's probably going to start the season at Lansing. But then by the second half of the season, I think you'll see Muncy in AAA. You'll see Wilson at AA. So those shortstops are on their way. They're very close. I think with Muncy, the key thing for him is, he did better last year after he was promoted to AA Midland. That's a tough hitting environment in the Texas League, but he did really well. And, one of the things he did is he just got a lot more selective at the plate. And it's not just a matter of taking balls and getting walks and that sort of thing. It's also not just swinging at every pitch you can hit. It's learning to swing at the pitches that you can really do damage on. And I think that's a key thing that Muncy learned at AA, was not to swing at everything he could hit, but to swing at the pitches he could really do damage with. And his batting average went up. Everything got better for him once he started being a little more selective at the plate. So I think he may have turned a corner. So I'm expecting to see a higher batting average, maybe a little better power this year too, from Muncy. So I don't think he's that far away. And Wilson, once he gets his feet wet in the minors, he's got major league bloodlines with his dad having been a major leaguer. That always helps make, players feel comfortable around a big league ball. But also, I think Jacob Wilson, he started finally like weight training and putting on some muscle, because he's kind of a lanky guy. He hasn't hit the ball hard. He hits the ball a lot, but he hasn't hit it hard. But he's finally trying to bulk up and put on a little extra muscle. And I think that's the key for him. Once he starts being able to hit the ball harder, that'll enable him to advance and be where he needs to be more quickly. Because you can make a lot of contact, but if you don't hit it hard, the opposing teams start realizing how to play you, and keep from all those little singles falling in. So I think once Wilson learns to hit the ball with a little more authority, then he'll be pretty close as well.
What are you going to do long term with Susac? Are you going to move him? I mean, because catching, I mean, Shea Langoliers is going to be the catcher for a while now. If he keeps hitting, you got to find another spot for him.
Well, so far I've heard that there hasn't been any talk of moving Susac. He's strictly played behind the plate. I mean, I think they'll like him staying there. I don't hear there's any plan to move him this season. As he gets closer to the major leagues, that could always possibly change. But, as we know, no player has a permanent lock on any position. And if, say, Tyler Soderstrom and Daniel Susac look like they're ready to go, and Shea Langoliers is hitting arbitration, and there are other teams that need a catcher, he could always, find a new home and bring in some young pitching prospects. I mean, nobody is here forever. So no matter how good a job anybody may be doing, if there's a young guy coming up who can do it almost as well and a lot cheaper, there's always a deal to be made, if someone's coming up the pipe. And I think, right now, Daniel Susac's going to be playing in Midland this year. He hit over 300 last year. So, he's obviously not that far away. And, we used to always look at Tyler Soderstrom probably ending up as a first baseman, but now with Ryan Noda in the mix, he's such a solid contributor and a left-handed hitter at first base. Soderstrom's looking like maybe he's going to stay behind the plate now, and you could end up with a platoon in the future of a left-handed catcher Soderstrom, a right-handed catcher Susac, and I'm sure the A's could find something valuable to do with Shea Langoliers if that were to be the case.
I like how you do your top 10 because you don't throw all the young guys in there because the young guys are so far away. It's like when I look at these top 10s and you show a name up there and the guy's an A-ball, it's like, okay, great, but I'm not going to see him for years. So when you start looking at your honorable mentions, obviously Echeverria is a guy that we were hoping to maybe see in the spring breakout game. We got rained out and we found out he wasn't going to pitch anyway. Jack Perkins got hurt. Salinas, these are three young guys that are names that we're hearing a lot. Let's talk about these three. And boy, Echeverria is a guy they love. Kept him from going to Florida, got the extra money because of the way the draft and paying Wilson not as much, but they love Echeverria. Talk about these three. Talk about Echeverria, Perkins, and Salinas.
Yeah, three good young pitchers, but I totally agree with you. It's so hard when you get a guy that was just drafted fresh out of high school to make him, too high on your prospects list. We just know there's so many things that can go wrong, especially with a pitcher. I mean, you could be the best high school pitcher in the world, and there's a reasonably decent chance within a couple of years you're going to be having Tommy John. So when you're so far away, there's so many things that can go wrong. Despite the tools or the talent level you might possess. So I always tend to err on the side of guys who've made it through the system a bit and are a little closer to making it to the major league level and have faced those challenges each step of the way. But Echeverria, obviously, very talented young pitcher. These days, they're very careful babying the arms of these guys they invest in. So, that's really why you haven't seen him pitch, is they really take it slow with these guys. They do not want to push it at all. So hopefully he'll get a chance to go out and, pitch in real games this year, and we can see a little more of his stuff. But obviously Echeverria is a very talented young guy. Jack Perkins had, arguably one of the best seasons of any pitcher in the minor league system last year. He just came out of the box firing and looking like he really knows how to pitch. So I'm expecting he'll be back at Midland this year. And, if he does well, he'll probably be up in Vegas before the end of the season. Hopefully he throws well. His health is good. But Perkins is a promising young guy, a smart pitcher who knows how to pitch. And Royber Salinas has a lot of, just great stuff. If he can command it, he's a very talented arm. I'm expecting that he'll be throwing in Vegas this year because of injuries. He only pitched about 90 innings last year. So, they might keep him on a bit of a short leash. But I think he's, if he can stay healthy and just improve his command just a little bit, he's certainly got the stuff to make an impression in AAA. And again, always a guy that could be called upon if needed at the major league level. Fortunately for Salinas, he's on the 40-man roster, and people don't think about this a lot, but that makes a big difference. If you're on the 40-man roster, you can call a guy right up. You don't have to make space for him. And that's the kind of thing that works against a guy this spring, say like Hoy Park. He's not on the 40-man roster. The A's are already going to have to clear a roster spot for the backup catcher, whether it's Perez or McCann. I'm assuming it'll be Perez, but they're going to have to clear a 40-man spot for him. They're going to have to clear a 40-man spot for TJ McFarland, who they've just acquired. And, you just don't like to have to clear that many spots on your 40-man roster. So the fact that Salinas is on the 40-man could help him this season, if an arm is needed. Fortunately, Joey Estes is also on the 40-man. So, again, I think it'll be easy for him to get a call if needed as well.
Well, we love our local products, and I love the kid we're going to talk about. You think about great athletes, Cody, out of Palo Alto High. I mean, Jim Harbaugh, you know him as the Chargers head coach. He'll always be a Wolverine to me and a Torero. Jock Peterson. Who else went to Palo Alto High? They've had a bunch of guys.
Yeah, those are – John Elway's not from there, is he? Did John Elway go there?
John Elway? No, John Elway grew up in Southern California.
Okay, I just don't remember him going to Stanford. I'll do some research.
Jack Elway was the head coach, his father at San Jose State, and then John started at Stanford. But John Elway went to high school in Southern California. Palo Alto High. Well, you know what? Henry Bolte is my guy.
Devontae Adams.
Legit.
Pretty good wide receiver.
Yeah, very good, Raider.
Yeah, well, as far as the A's are concerned, Henry Bolte is the only name you need to know from Palo Alto at this point. But you're right.
Henry Bolte is legit. I love this kid.
Yeah, he's a talented young guy. Again, he's got real power and he's got some speed too, which is a nice mix. And he came out his first full season last year in Stockton, and he was probably the best hitter on that Stockton team. Still very young. I think he was 19 to start the season last year, and he was impressive. I mean, he's still striking out a lot, but he's a young kid. He's still learning the zone and learning how to have a more disciplined approach at the plate. But the fact that he could come out and hit home runs and steal bases and play well in the outfield every day. Of the young hitters, the really young hitters in the system, the guys who, maybe haven't advanced beyond A ball, I think he's, clearly the most promising and has the biggest upside. So I mean, and it's one thing to it's one thing to look at these guys and go, oh, he's got these tools. But when you see him go out and play his first full season and actually put it together on the field and make it happen, that's really encouraging. And he had a lot of big hits last year too. He came up in a lot of clutch situations, and hit that game-winning hit or drove in the game-winning run. So he seems to be a bit of a big game player, at least early in his career. He wasn't intimidated, he wasn't scared, he wasn't nervous. He seemed to be able to do what was expected of him and come through in the clutch. So hopefully he can, continue that. And he's still very young, but hopefully, if he does what he did last year, he could move through the system, fairly rapidly, and he could be another young outfielder on the horizon. Another guy that doesn't get a lot of mention, and he's not on my top 10 list, but he's worth mentioning, is Colby Thomas, who the A's drafted a couple of years ago. Another power hitting outfielder who started in Stockton and went up to Lansing High A last year and had a good season there. I'm not sure. I'm hoping they're going to give him a shot at Midland to start the season this year. But either way, he's not that far away, and he's looked to be a pretty good, solid power hitting outfielder in the system as well.
Great stuff, as always. athleticsfarm.com for all A's fans, and of course your podcast on A's Cast that we love, and it's fantastic. We'll talk soon because we'll start to know really quick who's going to be at AAA, who's going to be at AA, we'll be at single A. So we'll be in touch, and the season's here, Bill. Let's get it going.
Yeah, and just so you know, the Major League season is starting on Thursday. The AAA season is starting on Friday, the very next day, and then the rest of the affiliates start the next Thursday. So it's all getting going soon here, and I look forward to talking to you about it, Chris.
Well, all I know is one thing: I never go against a man named Fran Reardon. You go against Fran Reardon, you lose. He's a leader of. All right, so we're going to send you the text. And we want your predictions, and you'll be a part of this on Thursday, opening day from the field.
Okay, great. Sounds good. Look forward to it, and look forward to talking about prospects more this season on A's Cast.
Take care, Bill. Bill Moriarty does a great job covering our minor league system. Nobody like him, and he does a podcast for us on A's Cast. And I do like how he does his top 10. You know how I feel. Mason Miller's number 1. I don't even bring that up because he's the closer of the team. I don't get the prospect, but it's by service time. I get it. Whatever. But a lot of these names, these are the future, and the future looks a hell of a lot more bright than it just did like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, last year, as we go back to our predictions, I went into the season naming a middle reliever as our guy that's going to the team in WAR.
Well, he did have like a record amount of
appearances.
Yeah,
he had a pretty good WAR that year.
Domingo Acevedo had terrible team, a lot of appearances.
I was just going to pull up the page real quick for the WAR leaders for the 2022 season. 16,102 was the record, and the leaders in WAR that year were Sean Murphy, Cole Irvin, Seth Brown, and then Frankie Montas, and then ninth on the list.
How many appearances? He had 60-something appearances.
Eighth was Domingo Acevedo, and in
2070, did he have? He was close.
70.
He had 70 appearances on 162 games. That's what old school pitchers used to do.
Yeah, so that's why I went with him, and he had the eighth best odds or eighth best WAR than 2022 season. So not going to go with the reliever this year.
What time we go? The game's at what time?
The game's at 5:05 first pitch.
It's at 5?
Yeah.
Why is it at 5?
I don't know. That's what the Giants have.
You want to do it right in the middle of rush hour traffic?
Yeah. I just work here, man.
I totally didn't even think about that. So what time's pregame?
4:25, I think.
Oh, man, I'm not going to have a whole lot of time for my Ohtani thing.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Pregame's
all right,
at 4:20.
Coming up next, World Series champion. You see him on NBC Sports Bay Area doing Giants pregame live. George Kontos will join us next, getting us ready for Game 2 of the Bay Bridge Series right here on A's Cast Live.
Hey, Oakland A's fans, join your team this spring in Mesa. With nonstop flights direct from Oakland, there's never been a better time to head to the Southwest. Surrounded by the stunning Sonoran Desert, spring training fans know why Arizona is the perfect spring break escape. Miles of trails, shoreline, and sunshine combined for an unforgettable Arizona adventure. There's simply no shortage of things to do, see, and discover in Mesa. Get your visitor's guide at visitmesa.com.
Where does one community end and the next begin? Across the railroad tracks? On the other side of the river? Is it between the east side and the west side? At Comerica Bank, we believe it's all one community, and we're all part of it. That's why Comerica has invested over $20 million for affordable housing, financial education, and workforce development in lower-income communities. Because when we raise expectations for everyone, we all rise. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
This is the place where you can dance like nobody's watching, win like nobody's business, and get away like you mean it. So what are you waiting for? Come join the party. Take that evening out and make it a night you'll never forget. This kind of action can't be beat.
This is Chris Townsend. There are two things that are a must for me: comfort and style. Whether I'm playing golf, going to dinner, I've got to have the right feel. That's why I've partnered with Linksole, and you're going to love Linksole. They have just released their new spring line, new fabrics for their polos, lightweight and perfect for technical performance. Linksole also has new styles for their layers and hoodies with cool prints and seasonal colors. You know what they say in the big leagues: look good, play good. Go to linksole.com. That's linksole.com.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is the #1 brand of online mattresses and the Bay Area's favorite mattress store. Take home the Easy Breather pillow. The New York Times calls it their #1 pick. You can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and Gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
You deserve extra. Extra Mile is where you get it. You don't just deserve breakfast. You deserve extra fresh Mile 1 coffee just the way you like it. You deserve more than a quick bite. You deserve an extra satisfying array of hot foods, extra good snacks, and fountain drinks that help you go the extra mile. Plus, with Extra Mile rewards, you can earn free stuff. Visit Extra Mile at select Chevron and Texaco locations. See program terms and conditions for details.
This is Chris Townsend, and if you're looking for a great place to eat and watch games, go see my friends at the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. The Chicken Pie Shop is one of the hottest restaurants in Walnut Creek. You're not going to find a better menu, and come try their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next private party or corporate event. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Nestled in the hills of San Jose, minutes from Silicon Valley, Cinnabar Hills Golf Club offers 27 holes of championship golf, a first-class pro shop, practice facility, and great food in the grill. This time of year also means family and business get-togethers. Let the folks at Cinnabar Hills make your event unforgettable while enjoying their award-winning venue. It's all there for you. Championship golf, a great space for any events, and incredible food. See it all at CinnabarHills.com. That's CinnabarHills.com.
And the underdogs Oakland Athletics win their first championship since they were in Philadelphia in 1930.
Hi, I'm Raleigh Fingers, Hall of Famer, three-time World Series champion with the Oakland A's and World Series MVP. Winning takes teamwork, skill, and heart. So when you need an ace for a personal injury lawyer that will win you the game, go with the winning team. Call Venardi Zerata at 833-VZ-FOR-ME or go to vzlawfirm.com. Venardi Serrata, the official injury law firm of the Oakland A's.
Streaming from the studio, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
I absolutely love reading the bios of our guests when they come on, because we can sit here and we can say, World Series champion, yeah, he does Giants pre- and post-game live on NBC Sports Bay Area. But how about when you throw in he was the high school baseball player of the year in Illinois. Of course, went to Northwestern, so he's one of those smart guys. But also lettered in golf and basketball. Did he take the wrong path? George, was the PGA Tour somewhere you should have gone instead of Major League Baseball?
Well, good morning, or not good morning, good afternoon, guys. Sorry. Yeah, I think I made the right choice. I don't know that I would have gotten quite as far playing golf as I did playing baseball. So I think that was all working out the way it was supposed to.
As a Big Ten guy, you're really looking forward to USC and UCLA in the conference next year?
You know, it was so funny when they announced that UCLA and those guys were going to be moving over to the Big Ten. I texted Brandon Crawford, and I was going to be like, how do you think those midterms are going to be for those guys going to play Maryland and having to come all the way back to California? So it was fun. It was funny. I still haven't quite grasped the fact that they're going to be in the Big Ten yet, but all these conferences expanding is going to be interesting.
Yeah, everybody's looking forward to Rutgers UCLA at like 9 in the morning on Saturdays. Yeah, I cannot wait for that. All right, the Bay Bridge Series is always so interesting, and it is for a lot of these teams, maybe they don't have the natural rival. Not everybody is a two-team market, but for the Giants and the A's to come back from Arizona, obviously the weather's a little different, so it's a little bit cooler. It's now we talked to Daryl Hernandez, who made the team yesterday. He's like, wow, there's the extra deck at the stadium. So for the young guys, for the veterans, what's the Bay Bridge Series like for you?
Well, for the veterans, it's definitely that last little tune-up before it turns into real baseball. And like you mentioned, for the young guys who have either just made the team or who are getting to make this trip with the big league club to get a little bit more of that experience, it's a lot different when you come from spring training in Arizona, when you have one deck, you play your games at 105, and then you come to the Bay, and whether you're playing at the Coliseum or at Oracle Park, where the lights are very bright, you play at night, and you have 2 or 3 decks. It makes a much bigger difference, and it really gets those competitive juices flowing to get you ready for the season that's upcoming in a few days.
Tell us as a pitcher just how different it is throwing in the thin air of Arizona when you're talking about spinning it, breaking balls, splits, whatever your breaking pitches are, also with your fastball, to then you come back to a ton of moisture in the air, whether it's San Francisco or Oakland. It's 2 different climates.
Sure, yeah, it's very, very much different. I mean, the only place worse than pitching in Arizona is obviously Denver and in Colorado, where my ERA was 1 million. But when you get to places where the air is very thin, there's less friction on the ball. So you really have to make sure that you execute and you finish your pitches in front, whether it's a fastball, curveball, slider, whatever it is. If you don't get out in front and finish those pitches, they're going to kind of just be BP fastballs or cement mixers, as we call those breaking balls that don't quite do anything. Then you come back to the Bay where the air and moisture is much more and the air is thicker, and you can get away with having pitches not quite be out in front, or they're just that much more nasty when you do throw them the way that you want to and you get out in front and you spin them really tight.
I got to think for bullpen guys, and this applies for a lot of different teams that play, whether you're East Coast or, I mean, really anywhere, upper Midwest, or especially out where we are. I mean, you go from Arizona, I just got back. I've been in shorts. I've been in a polo. I got a little bit of a tan. And yesterday, the sun went down and we were like freezing cold. So what's the adjustment like for bullpen guys? You've been in Arizona. Everything's great. And then now you got to get up. You got to get loose. But these games are cold.
They are cold. I mean, well, who was it? Was it the coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco? Whoever said that one? That was Mark Twain. But it's true. I mean, when you play in the Bay Area,
he's a Northwestern guy. He could quote Mark Twain, for God's sake.
When you play in the Bay Area and the sun goes down there, and those microclimates that a lot of people don't realize out there are very real. I mean, it can go from 75 to when BP is over and first pitch starts, and then 8-9 o'clock when the shadows go away, it gets down to 55 and swirling, and the moisture really kicks in, and Carl, the fog is there irritating everybody. So it's definitely a real thing that you have to deal with. But it's just one of those things that you're used to. You're out there in the spring training, the heat, and once the real baseball games come along, which is in a couple days, and your name gets called, especially as a bullpen guy, and your heart's beating through your chest for your first appearance of the regular season, you forget about the weather pretty quickly.
For these young guys who make the club for the first time, and we got quite a few, what's the advice that you give them as you're now getting your first opportunity to be a big leaguer? Families are making their way here to the Bay Area. They're flying in. What advice would you give them?
The biggest advice is just try and stay in the moment. You know, you're all excited. You have all these emotions of living out your childhood dream of earning your way onto a major league roster, or having a September call-up and making the team for the first time. And there's going to be a lot of emotions and a lot of ways to kind of maybe take away from that focus. But when you get out, when you get your opportunity to go out there, try and just stay in the moment. And it's just one pitch at a time. You know, ball one is not the end of the world. Giving up a 2-strike hit is not the end of the world. And obviously, speaking from a pitcher's perspective, is just being able to stay in the moment and throwing each pitch for what it is, just one at a time.
As you were getting ready for Giants pre and post game live on NBC Sports California, you know, you're getting all your notes, you're ready to come out to the Bay Area and get this thing going, and then all of a sudden, wham, Blake Snell is on the team. What? Blake Snell? You know, all the Giants fans are complaining, far on it, and then all of a sudden, the reigning National League Cy Young Award is now on the Giants, and not only is he on the Giants, he's basically on a don't listen to the contract. He's on a 1-year prove-it year again. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of a broad statement first, in the fact that when the Giants reported to spring training, I think a lot of us on our side of the Bay were kind of scratching our heads as to what was going to happen. And then Farhan worked his magic and kept signing guys that really made this team a lot better. And then the last big splash was obviously Blake Snell, as you mentioned, the reigning Cy Young Award winner, with Logan Webb, who was the runner-up in the Cy Young. I think that everyone who's a Giants fan should be very, very excited with how this rotation is going to look at the top and even on the way in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th slots. I mean, you got Logan and Blake at the top. You got Jordan Hicks, who looked absolutely dominant the other day. The only concern I would have with him is just the innings and how far past his career innings they would let him go this year. Because thrown, I think his top end might have been maybe 78 or 80 innings total. I'd be shocked if they would let him double that total. That would be a very, very big jump. But as long as he can stay in the starting rotation, what we saw the other night, 5 innings, 10 punches, no hits, looked pretty dominant. And then you got, Harrison, who's going to have his chance to go out there and earn his spot. And you got Robbie Ray coming back, Alex Cobb. I mean, I'm very excited with what this rotation looks like. Then you get to the bullpen. That's been great. And obviously, as you know, being around our Giants teams that were fortunate to win World Series, pitching and defense is what wins for this ball club, and we seem to have some very good pitching this year.
That's the thing that just gets me. Like our old Ray Fosse would always talk about it when they won 3 straight in the 70s. Ray was on 2, but when they won 3 straight, it was pitching and defense. And we just sit here and everybody, home runs, how many home runs? And you're like, listen, when you get into the postseason, the number one thing is run prevention. How do you keep? And that was the thing. The Giants did it with 3 different closers, but always the bullpen was so locked down. Talk about that. We're so infatuated by power, but the reality is, how do you prevent the other team from scoring?
The key to baseball, or pitching at least, has always been, in my opinion, is can you get outs? It doesn't matter how you get them necessarily. I know that the high velocity, high strikeout stuff is real sexy, and you can get away with some more mistakes. But I remember in 2012, we were sitting there right before the World Series, and we were either in San Francisco. We were in San Francisco because we opened up in San Francisco, and one of the beat writers came up and said, "How do you guys feel about having the softest throwing bullpen in the big leagues with an average velocity of like 92.1 miles an hour that year?"
Wow.
And we had the best bullpen in the big leagues that year. As we showed, we did a great job. And it's not necessarily about how you get it done. It's just the fact that can you get it done? And when you have the right guys who go in there and the right matchups and the right mentalities and, the right kind of stones, to be honest, too, that's part of it in those big situations. Great things can happen. And when you put guys in positions to succeed, as those teams that I was on, and even in 2010, when guys were running out of the bullpen, you knew exactly what you were supposed to do, what your situation was, and you had a lot of confidence when you were running into those games in those big situations. So, being in a good bullpen, the starters can't go all 9 innings all the time. So having guys that you can trust come in after them and get the job done really just goes a long way for the confidence of your ball club as a whole.
Yeah, get me innings and get me outs. I'm so tired of hearing about it, how every guy, this guy throws 102. Yeah, well, he's going to be Tommy John and out for a year. I need guys who get me outs and go innings. Let's end on this. When you think about last year, we're kind of learning a little more as now we have a few ex-Giants on the team. There was a lot of disconnect between the players, the staff, the front office. Just how big is it to bring someone like Bob Melvin in, who is completely opposite of what was going on last year?
I think having a guy like Bob Melvin at the leadership of your ball club is huge, and not to bring up Bruce Bochy again, but he's a kind of guy that resembles the type of manager that Boch was. Boch was a very good, and still is obviously with what he did last year in Texas, and he's a great leader of men. When he approaches you, he understands how to get the most out of you, what you need to hear to be successful, what you need to be told. Some people need some tough love, and some people need the hand on their back and be like, "Hey man, it's going to be all right. You had a couple bad outings, whatever it is, we're going to work through it." And when you can get people in the right frame of mind to go out and play baseball at a high level and everyone pulling in the same direction, that's when you have success. And I think last year was a little bit of a domino effect. Things weren't going great. There were some injuries. The defense wasn't all that great. And then it was just a little bit of a snowball effect where we saw what happened at the end of the year. And I think that the decision was made that you needed to bring somebody in, again, that could manage the personalities and who's a baseball guy, more old school. Obviously, Bob Melvin's been through a lot on both sides of the bay. He's had a long, great career on the playing side and then on the management side as well. And he's a guy who uses his eyes first and the analytics. He understands them, knows how to use them. But those, in my opinion, to him are second. And he's got a great mix of both worlds. And I think that's exactly what the ball club needs. And that's what baseball needs in general. You need people who are going to use their eyes and use the numbers to help make quality decisions, but not make decisions based on the numbers alone.
Well, we all know you were a terrific pitcher, but you've also turned out to be one heck of an analyst, and we always appreciate your time. It's always great seeing you in San Francisco up at the NBC studio. So be well, and I'll see you later this season as we're putting suits on.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Take care. Good to see you.
All right. Have a good one.
George Kontos, World Series champion with the Giants, and if you watch the Giants coverage, he is really, really good.
Yeah, I enjoy him. I'm glad we built that connection. Remember, we always joke, first guest to ever appear on this program, video-wise.
Video-wise.
Yeah, first guest to come on. I mean, sorry, it's a Giant, but he was the guy that was available that day when we did. I think we're playing the Giants, or maybe it was an exhibition game, but
all right, I quickly want to get into this. So it's an article from the LA Times about Ohtani. And there are multiple people like this guy, David Weinstein, a former federal prosecutor who has done a lot of white-collar crime defense, and he's been a prosecutor, defense attorney. I mean, this guy's done all kinds of stuff. So he was a federal prosecutor who now has a white-collar criminal defense practice. So he's done both sides of it. We're going to get into a lawyer who is now doing a lot of gaming law. So it basically tells you that there's no way. So it says right here, the first question he would ask if he were a prosecutor on the case, he said, is what kind of access Mazzara had to Ohtani's bank accounts. Said it would be hard to imagine siphoning millions from Ohtani in cash, which is the most legal bookmakers deal in, right? They deal in cash. You're not doing credit card, right? Or they now do, I guess, crypto. I didn't realize that. Doing all this without Ohtani or his financial managers knowing or agreeing to it.
Yeah. I mean, like as we said, you're going to know when this, it doesn't matter if it's you or someone handles your money for you, you're going to see the money going out and how it's being handled.
Daniel Wallach, who is a sports betting and gambling attorney. This is all from the LA Times, okay? We're going to do actually what we used to do. We're going to go to a source, and it's a newspaper, Cody. The LA Times. So Daniel Wallach, a sports betting and gambling attorney, said the biggest red flag of all of this is that the pronouncement that there has been a massive theft only occurred. This is the big thing. Only occurred in a response to the media poking around. I read that and went, wow, that's pretty good. And he says, like it was crisis management 101 to shift the attention away from Ohtani. So think about this. What if this bookie never was caught and raided by the feds? Who, by the way, the bookie hasn't been charged yet. I found out. But he's being investigated. What if that never happened? What if the media never picked this up?
Yeah. We would never,
this could be you're talking 4.5 million. How high could this have gone? So there's this article that I'd love everybody to read in the LA Times. The title is Shohei Ohtani a theft victim? Is he in trouble? Legal experts say probes underway. So they'll tell you, no matter what, that's it 1 minute.
Yeah.
Everything is electronic, right? And his names are on these wires. He's going to have to prove to everybody. See, he wasn't dealing in cash. There's electronic proof to everything. So either Shohei Ohtani was helping out his buddy and just paying it off, Shohei Ohtani was actually betting with his buddy, or he is so incredibly immature and he's like childlike and he needs to grow up as a man. Those are your three options. None look good.
No.
You're hoping it's only he's got to grow up, but he's got to grow up. This whole, I don't know anything. You're almost 30. You're now married. You got a $700 million contract. You got to know what's going on with your life.
Yeah, exactly.
But a lot of these guys in this article, and I'm sorry I ran out of time, they're going to tell you it's insane to think that no one knew. All the people around him, the people are handling his finances, the people are handling it. Who's running his New Balance deal? He's got a big deal with New Balance. There's people doing business for Shohei Ohtani. Somebody had to allow this guy to the money, and there will be a paper trail.
Yeah, exactly. And the more is going to keep coming out, as we talked about. Like, this isn't going to just end this week. It's going to keep going.
Oh, and the videos of them being chubby in the dugout, and then right after that is when he went and talked to the team and said, sorry, I've been gambling.
Yeah.
It is all just does not make sense. The timeline, ESPN puts up the timeline. It doesn't make sense. They've been buddy chummy, and then all of a sudden, oh, he's stealing from me. I didn't know.
Yeah, they're all the quotes are in the ESPN article. Alden Gonzalez did as well from yesterday's press conference.
All right, coming up next, A's Total Access, Game 2 of the Bay Bridge Series right here on A's Cast. We'll be back when?
Thursday at 4 o'clock. J.D. Davis, David Forrest, opening day, baby.
Mark Kotze,
opening day.
All opening day right here on A's Cast Live. But coming up next, the Bay Bridge Series. Enjoy, everybody.
Join the party. Take that evening out and make it a night you'll never forget. This kind of action can't be beat.
This has been a presentation of the Oakland Athletics.